Scarborough, yeah, we're talking about Dylan's son's wedding. That's right.
There
Dylan
you
believes
go.
in arranged marriage.
We're
Dylan has
going to Portugal
arranged.
this summer. We're marrying my son off to one
That's
of
right.
his bustiest cousin. Whatever
That's right.
cousin we think is the bustiest
Yeah.
will.
Which cousin do you think will turn out to be the bustiest? That's who Dylan will. And Dylan, by the way, will be
It's a
getting.
Portuguese tradition
It
to gather
is.
all the 1-year-old women and guess which one will turn out the bustiest.
Yes. What's weird is it's a tradition that only started when English visitors started coming to the Portuguese shores. So in Portugal, it is known as the tradition of the white man. But
Yeah. The tradition of the pasty to guess
yeah,
which
yeah,
children
yeah.
will be the bustiest, started by
If
Mr. Savile and Prince Andrew.
they lack
Boom.
melanin, meet them on the beach. What's your
Jimmy Savile, by the way, is something that if you are statistically, I'd say it's like mostly Americans and then British people. And Jimmy Savile is the funniest one because I don't think there's an American celebrity who's a fucking crazy pedophile that English people are like, what? That guy's a pedophile? But Jimmy Savile is like essentially the government funded a pedophile for years. Like,
Yeah,
your tax dollars went to this guy to bang kids, and Americans have no idea.
it would be like if the U.S. government in the 70s and 80s just paid one guy with a van millions of dollars. Just
Yeah,
like,
I maybe like because American obviously same like entertainment system that Canada or Britain does. There is kind of no equivalent. I guess it'd be like if fucking Brian Williams from NBC turned out to be a straight pedo, or like
it would be almost as if Bill Cosby turned out to be a rapist.
I guess it'd be Dick Clark. That's a pretty like if Dick
Yeah,
Clark was
it's
just
Dick Clark.
American
It's Dick,
Bandstand of
it's still.
kids.
Oh my God,
You
where's
can
that
use
joke
that.
been? My dad's reaction to the Jimmy Savile scandal was the best. I just moved to London. He was visiting, came over for business, was visiting me. We walked by a newspaper stand, and it just said a picture of Jimmy Savile and the word pedo. And my dad just, in like my dad wearing loafers, just being loud in a public place, just pointed and went, "Yes," and then just kept walking.
Your dad is a large man who fucking loves loafers and hates socks.
Oh yeah, he is. He's
Hey, Big
like,
Steve, it's raining outside. I better wear 2 pairs of loafers then, because I ain't wearing socks.
yeah,
I ain't no fucking
or a
bitch.
jacket, or a
My
jacket. Why
my
would I wear a
feet ain't
jacket?
ever gonna be in prison, bro. These are
If
fucking unvaccinated feet. Freedom.
Yeah, my body is vaccinated. My feet are unvaccinated, is what he often says. You know what I'm saying? He also never wears a coat. He never wears a coat. How you know
Good.
it's winter is he puts on thin summer socks, heads out in the lows.
I will not be cucked by the
Yeah.
climate.
I will not be prevented by what I call leftist rain, which is snow.
And that's a man who gets married a lot, doesn't have
Why
time
would
for
you?
socks. He's
No,
too
why
busy
would you?
fucking
Exactly. He
throwing
lost
it
all the
in, buying a
lost
ring.
lost the socks in the divorce. He's a terrible attorney. He needs
That's
a
just
better
one other
attorney.
thing that fucking bitch will take from me.
I'll tell you.
I will say this: your dad. By the way, we're doing Trish Stratus, which is why we're talking about John's
My
dad.
God's dad, of course. Yeah, his favorite
Your
wrestler.
dad is the least divorced, multiple divorced man I've ever met in my life. Usually, those guys mention it like it's fucking a tour of Nam that never ended. But he's just like, "Yeah, I lived my life, and then I got divorced, and then you know what? I lived my life, and that led me to, you guessed it, bang bang, divorce again. Good for him."
Yeah, no, he's just, you know what? He's just, what it is, I get it, which is like he's been through some shit. So he's just kind of like, I got a club sandwich today. No one's yelled at me. This is all right. This
Nobody.
is all right.
He's been in some shit, and he's been through some shit. You know what I mean? You can use
Exactly.
that.
All he now wants is just to be able to order wine with lunch. You know what I mean? Like he's just like, that was his main thing. It's just like being a dad of adult kids. If I've learned is basically you just hit a certain age and you're like, this is who I am. I'm drinking in the daytime. And it's not, I'm not even getting drunk. It just goes with the meal. It's kind of like the people that hold a cup of coffee with a hamburger. That's a hard boiled son of a bitch right there.
Well, I understand now, obviously, as a father, the weird thing is, like, sometimes he'll like shit his pants and he'll be like, let me fucking full sprint run with this shit in my pants, you asshole. Like, that's pretty much what he wants to do. And then later on in life, he's going to be mean to be about technology.
Yeah, exactly. Like in by the way, in
And I'll
this
have to be like,
decade-
you're right. Thing that shit its pants for 3 years nonstop.
yeah,
And would be pissed off if I like tried to wipe your, you know how fucking sick you're gonna get if you stick your hand in your own shit, and he's gonna be like, oh, Dad, that's not how the holophone works, and I'm gonna have to be like, you know what,
yeah.
you're right.
No,
In my
you will
mind,
not.
I could see you shitting your pants and being like, "No, it's nice in there. Ooh,
Yeah.
squishy, squishy." Holophone.
What's nice about Dylan is there will be one time where Dylan will just be way too upset about something else, and his son will be like, Dad, your holophone stickers aren't collaborated correctly. And you will turn to him and be like, I took stinky shit out of your little ass.
I didn't
So
take it
if
out
you
of his ass.
you
Ooh, you
did.
haven't shit yet, but I know what's in there. grab, grab,
You
grab,
went
grab, grab.
you went ferreting for your son's turds. You know what I'm saying? Not in a disgusting way. You just wanted to listen, we got a day plan, Felix. We're
Yeah,
getting the
yeah,
shit out of you now.
exactly. We're not
Headed up.
ruining my time at the zoo. We're gonna make you shit now.
Exactly.
I'm gonna
That's
see
right.
those Komodo dragons.
Yeah, you took a shop vac into the nursery and just let nature run its course.
Yeah, I've been ripping Adderall since 8 a.m. You stupid bitch. We're fucking going to this
Oh
fucking
yeah,
zoo,
but
and I'm
by the
learning
way,
about this.
ladies and gentlemen, I should make this clear. Welcome to the Adderall review. Dylan and I are now full drug addicts. Our
Are you on
Patreon-
Adderall too?
No, I'm just crushing up whatever pills are in my medicine cabinet and just letting it happen.
Mostly snorting vitamin D, but it's practice for my nose.
So not to bring it too modeling down, but a very good friend of mine passed away very recently as of this recording, and my dad was with me very soon after it happened. Here's the most dad move in the entire world, which is you're gonna be sad. You're gonna be sad for a long time, and
Yeah.
you're gonna see him everywhere, and you're gonna know him, and you'll be upset. But first, you need to decide where we're going for lunch.
That's good.
Stephen Hastings, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't.
That's
fuck
how you do
around.
it. So.
And you know what? He was right to do it. I had a fried chicken sandwich. Really turned that day around.
My sister recently told me, she's like, "Oh, I have like a journal of my worries," and then
Oh
my
my
mom said
God.
to her, "Why the hell would you write that down? Here's what you do: don't write it down and get over it." That's what my mom said.
Of course.
Don't write it down and get over it. And that's a woman who was like, she genuinely believed. This just came out. She genuinely believed.
I'm so happy
Wait.
Dylan froze. Say that again. Say that again. You froze right at that moment. It was the perfect time for you to freeze.
She genuinely thought I was going to be kidnapped when I was 13. And I haven't written a joke about this yet, but no one's going to kidnap a 13-year-old boy.
No.
There is nothing less kidnappable than, by the way, I've been the same size, like a 6-foot, 250-pound just masturbation machine where it's like,
Yeah.
can you? All right, well, we have to be with him. Why? Because he's going to escape? No, he's just been beating off for things. We put
Yeah.
two rocks were together and they looked too much like tits. He broke out, but he didn't leave. He just started beating off.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
shot on the ground and went to sleep, and then he woke up and he went, "Ooh, looks like my fingers, if I go like this, look like boobies too." And then he started jacking off with just his thighs.
He kept talking to us about DMX to the point that we just let him go.
Yeah. Hey, do you want any water or anything? Sears catalog in an hour.
Yeah.
I
I would like the scene in A Night at the Roxbury where Molly Shannon orgasms while listing furniture items played on a loop, or I will reveal my location to my parents, kidnappers. It seems like you don't want to be kidnapped anymore. I just want to be left alone in a place where I can jack off.
It doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes because they have to go in somewhere. I will fucking nut. Anyway, we're gonna talk about Trish Stratus, and you know what?
Yeah.
She had a very
was-
short career. I didn't know. I forgot.
I knew
6
she had a
years.
very short. She had a very short career, and it was basically like Sable left the company, and Vince McMahon looked at himself in the mirror and just went, "We can build another one, stronger,
Yeah.
more disrespected."
Well, it's funny because Sable. Well, you say what you will about Sable, but like Sable knew her value. Before that,
no,
you
she
had
did not.
Sonny.
No, shut the fuck up. Sable did
Okay.
not know her
Talk
value.
to me.
Sable's entire career was like, I am famous. I am now going to way overstep how much I am respected or liked in this company.
Okay.
And I'm going to piss off everyone who isn't just Vince McMahon to the point that, like, I don't think Sable could go in the Hall of Fame at this point because I think people would go too crazy. Like, people would be like, nah.
I think so. She's married to Lesnar.
Yeah, that's what I think. Like, people just nah. Like, in that, I think people like fans want it. Fans, she still has a huge fan base.
Yeah.
I literally think people in the company are still like, ah, fuck her. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people do
Mm.
not like her.
That's so weird because like we've talked about this in the Sable episode a million years ago, but it's like as far as the Attitude Era goes, people forget this, but it was
It
like
was Goldberg and Sable. They're
it was
the two people
Goldberg.
that moved
Yeah.
and that you couldn't beat were Goldberg
You
and
could
Sable.
not program against Goldberg or Sable. The top stars in the company were some combination of Hogan versus Austin and Rock, but Goldberg and Sable were like right there.
Because what it was those were short, sweet segments that happened every week, and they were just like, oh, this is fun. It's in the way that you couldn't really counter the cruiserweights on WWE TV, and you couldn't really counter Steve
You mean
Austin.
WCW?
Pardon me. You couldn't counter WCW's cruiserweights on
Yeah.
WWE TV, and you couldn't counter like Steve Austin driving a Zamboni on WWE TV on WCW TV. What's interesting
Yeah.
about Trish Stratus, right off the top, is that she is so considered an Attitude Era personality in my mind, but really is a but is really a ruthless aggression star. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's that
Yeah.
weird thing. Go
Well,
ahead.
she's the thing where she slides in, I think, really nicely.
Yo, Dylan. Yo, 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 yo.
Where the
Yo.
as much as they made fun of it, the right to censor comes in, and really WWF has to address the fact that people are pissed about their content. So Trish Stratus uses that to actually become a wrestler because there's nothing that Vince McMahon would have liked more than just to be like eats actual shit match against herself. She eats a lot of shit for a whole hour, but she forays that very smartly into just becoming a regular old goddamn motherfucking wrestler who's pretty good. And
Yeah.
they use her as like a see. We cared about women's wrestling before it
No,
was
they
fun,
didn't.
but
They
they
cared
didn't.
about her. What it was Vince was like, "Oh my god, it's like an 11-year-old boy is a hot girl. I I want to make her bark like a dog in the ring." And they
Yeah,
were like,
was she was the first of the long line, by the way, of divas who were like, "Fucking, you
"Oh
come
my
into the
god, yeah."
company. Your character is you suck me, and then after that, we'll see what happens. But the first character you have is sucking me.
Let's fire through. Let's just fire through her pre.
Well, she was a fitness model. She was very smart.
She's a fitness
Um,
model from Toronto. She's the most Toronto person I've ever met in my entire life. Incredibly cheery with like 8 jobs and way more money than you think that she should have. And she's just a nice person. Just a nice, sweet person married to like a guy named
and
Cliff.
yeah,
And they both wear Patagonia vests. And I
they
bet
live
you
a
when they
sustainable lifestyle, but still have SUVs.
Oh yeah, they have a sustainable lifestyle, and they definitely aren't poly, but have like one wild weekend in Vegas where they killed a runaway.
But she's a fitness model, and a very interesting thing to note is that she before she gets into WWF, she does a full interview on her foray into WWF on Off the Record. I don't know if you can really have. It'd be like if Joe Rogan had like 1/20th of the sway, but like a lot of wrestling fans watched Off the Record because it was the first place I've ever seen. And really, it sounds
It's
weird,
the
but it's
only
like
place. It's the only place.
shoot interviews. It was basically like they figured out and they didn't care that the wrestling fans would watch this sports show for basically behind the scenes wrestling knowledge. Like
Also, and I know what you're
Off the
wondering.
Record did a long
It's
interview
so
with Vince
weird.
after the screw job. They did one with Brett. Like
Mhm. Off the Record also is the only television show in the modern era that I've ever seen that is just sponsored by one business.
Keg.
The Keg. Welcome to
Steakhouse
Off
on the
the
Road.
Record. Yeah, Steakhouse is great. It's the weirdest the entire run. And then when the Keg pulled their sponsorship, see in hell, OTR.
I think that was like Michael Landsberg, who was the host of the show, was probably like, "Can I have $40?" No, this is Canadian TV.
Get the fuck out! Get the fuck
Don't
away
let the
from
fucking
me.
door
I
suck
mean,
your dick on the way out of my ass.
still the greatest thing ever was wasn't one of the producers of that that sports show like Sam and Dave like the day before they were like congratulations on your new daughter and then the next day they're like everyone is fired, get the fuck out.
Oh, what was that?
What's that famous Canadian sports duo show that they canceled, like Jay and Sam?
Oh, Jay and Dan?
Jay and Dan, yeah.
Yeah, they went to Fox Sports in the States for a minute, and then they
No,
went
but
back
it's when
to
they got
Canada.
fired by TSN like the most recent time where they were like They're like the day before one of their producers who used to be one of the Sketchersons was like on air congratulated for having a kid and then fired the next day. Something like that. Like it was like
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the funny thing. And once again, we talked about how Canadian and American media are different, and like, yeah, it's like Rogers. Was Rogers or something? Basically, there's two companies in Canada, and they run absolutely everything. And then they were like, our market share went down, and we want to make $1 billion clean, not 999 million. Let's ruin some shit. Also, we're getting loan forgiveness from the government, but we still want to make money. Like, it's fucking as every big business thing is scummy as hell. But anyway, Trish Stratus enters the WWF in, and tell me if there's a more Vince Russo idea than this, TNA.
she manages Test and Albert and
Yeah.
also oh my god, yes. Well, this is also the time of TNA and of course the Pretty Mean Sisters, PMS. Oh fuck yeah.
Ooh.
Who were PMS? Was PMS Jackie and Trish? Did PMS come after TNA?
I don't know. Wasn't no PMS was yeah Jackie and
Was
someone else.
and Terry
And
Runnels. It was
Terry Runnels.
Marlena. PMS was Terry Runnels. Oh my god. And
Yes.
they had
These bitches
meat.
are just off their fucking period and they want to fuck Sean Stasiak.
Oh
And
my
then a lot of the
god.
times, remember, because a lot of the story of the matches was he was so tired from fucking them that he lost.
Yes, he was. Let me ask you this.
He's
Who
too.
was
You gotta have a bit of cum in you to win a match, and that's just what old Go Jr. knows. If you don't have enough cum, and now you see the Rock. He is a never nut. He gets right to the fucking climax, and then he dials it back a bit. That's why he's so talented.
would you like to know who the third member of Pretty Mean Sisters was, which no one will remember?
Oh, easy.
Who was it?
Pat Patterson.
It was Pat Patterson. You are correct. It was Ryan Shamrock.
Oh yes, I
And there
remember
were
that.
so many pregnancy angles in this stable.
That's good.
This stable didn't last
Oh
a
yeah, because
year.
Ken Shamrock. Sorry to cut you off, but Ken Shamrock was like, "Hey, can you get my girlfriend to in
Yeah, and
the
they made her
funniest?"
portray his sister.
Yeah,
Sister.
but she's your sister.
It's great.
Trust me, this is gonna be really popular on Pornhub in 20 years.
I'm already
Trust
I'm
me,
already
you're
calling
fucking.
it. We're calling this Trish Stratus Part 1 because we're calling this
Do
Trish
you think
Stratus
he could
Part
get an
1.
hour out of 3? Well, I mean, we talked about bullshit for a bit, so.
Yeah, we're either doing this is Trish Stratus Part 1 or we're just calling this a chat episode and we'll do Trish Stratus later in the year because there's no way we're not even going to get to her barking like a dog at this point.
I mean, we will because that comes on so much faster than I thought. Because TNA obviously is this tag team Test and Albert, who would have been a very good tag team if they were booked.
No.
Not
No, they
hey,
wouldn't have.
yeah, they were big guys, and you know what? If Prince
I
Albert's name
actually think
wasn't
Test is
a
pretty odd.
cock
Yeah.
piercing,
Yeah.
then
And Test's name wasn't Quiz Boy. Like
he's a fucking bouncer for Motley Crue. Oh, who are those guys? Hey, fuck off! Hey, fucking yeah, you know.
first of all, Dylan, you were incorrect. It was the late '90s. Everyone knew Motley Crue for one reason.
Oh
Motley
yeah,
Crue.
yeah.
You mean
Sex Pistols.
Tommy
Yeah,
Lee's band? Yes, I do know who those are. Actually, yeah,
that guy fucks.
yeah. That guy has a big, tasty, meaty dick.
But you think about all the TNA, right? This is before all the complaints, and they're going to pull sponsors. But TNA, she faces Val Venus. She begins managing Val Venus. Really, she's like in the best way possible, getting used to being a wrestler by just hanging around. She was trained
Yeah,
by
just
Fit
hanging
Finlay.
around a bunch of guys who you get really into weed libertarianism and being
Oh,
turfs.
how did she like? I guess she'd be in the fitness world before this, so she's prepared for it. But how do you
Yeah, but
think
I
this
don't.
woman handles herself backstage? Like,
I guarantee that there were a bunch of the really creepy guys who were like, there's Trish, she's a bit of a prude. And he'd be like, why? And was like, well, one time I tried to put I put a bunch of boogers on my dick head and tried to shove my boogery dickhead in her ear. She pulled a knife on me like a fucking nun. You know what I mean? Like it's like that kind of complaint where you're like,
yeah.
you didn't fucking what, man? And and he's like, yeah, that fucking stupid bitch. Like that's all of the complaints about her like
So
that.
she makes her debut in March 19th. By February 19th, she's in the angle where she's gonna bark like a dog. because she fucking wants to get sucked off. Fucking wants to suck off Vince. She'll do anything to suck him off. That's the angle.
Is that true? Is
Yeah,
that
man.
the
I watched some
angle?
of the segments, and it's like she's like, the bark like a dog segment wasn't. She didn't stand up for herself. She was like, "No, that was good. I'll do worse than that." That was the next week follow up. It was like, "I'll fucking lick some fucking slop off the ground for you, you fucking motherfucker."
I do
And
not think
Vince
that
was
that
like,
was true.
"That's good. That's good. Ha ha ha." Butt chug my cum. That was his other thing.
I don't
He
think that
started
that's right.
throwing. Yep. It is.
Holy shit! I didn't realize how many different just moves she got. She had to take from Vince when. So they do the storyline where Vince is having an affair with Trish Stratus because Linda has been kayfabed after
She's in a
Vince
coma.
demanded a
Yeah.
divorce. Yeah, demanded a divorce. This is where Trish is forced to bark like a dog.
Mm-hmm.
She is then slopped.
Oh yeah.
And then she has a mixed tag match with Vince and Stephanie, or with her and Vince against Stephanie and Regal. Regal does the Regal cutter, and then Vince says that she was a toy that he had grown tired of playing with, and he didn't like that anymore. Oh no, sorry. And then the next week, she had to bark like a dog.
Yes.
And then this was the end of Linda's Senate run. That's so funny. And Bruce Pritchard, according to Christopher Hobson, defended the angle, saying, "When you see the payoff, it puts the clip in context and makes it okay. Of course, it does not." Wait, I mean, I know what he's going for, but he's incorrect. What he's trying to say is, in the context of the angle, we were trying to build up Vince McMahon as being this big giant villain doing this horrible thing. The problem was it was given in the context, and also the audience watching it in that crowd in DC was literally like, "Yes, this is what we want," and also Paul Heyman saying quite famously, "Hey, Mom, I came all the way to Washington, D.C., and I get to say Bush.
See Bush.
Get to see Bush." He said that on the commentary.
Yeah, that upset everybody, but also it's like you can't really upset a guy for just going 100% when you're trying to take it to like 99.
Well, what it is they were like, "Oh, we'll get away with this," and then it's just like, "No, you won't though. Just don't do it." Just
Yeah,
don't
and
do
then blame Paul Heyman.
it. Yeah, then blame Paul Heyman.
Which makes sense. But anyway, like what did I want to say here? Obviously the bark like a dog segment is really really famous for like the response it got, sorry, but it's not any worse than anything else. Like I watched a thing on it was just like some list. It was like I think it was like a what culture list about like oh 7, like 10 times women were just like fucking shit on WWE TV. And Trish Stratus, we'll get to there of course, but she does this retirement thing. She retires as the champion. The belt is retired. Lita retires 2 months later and she loses the match, which is whatever. But the weird thing is Crime Time comes out and sells off all her panties and her dildos. And that's like how she is retired.
You're making that up.
No, that's true. That is absolutely true.
They don't
That's why I was like,
they don't
yeah, I mean,
sell
look it up.
her dildos.
During the break,
I'm
I
looking
will
at
show you.
I want
will
you to show me
you the thing.
during the break. Dylan, during the break, if you do not produce this clip, guess what?
We're married.
We are married.
Um,
You divorce your wife. I'm already divorcing my wife. I live for bits.
but this is the interesting thing where it's like for some reason they prefer Trish Stratus. They like Trish Stratus. The other thing is
I can explain it. I can explain why they like Trish Stratus over
just
Lita.
to finish my point, they like her, but the reason the bark like a dog thing happened, apparently, I mean, this is all hearsay because everything's hearsay because it's wrestling, but is that she was a fucking bitch backstage, which I guarantee was just like exactly like she was just a woman who was like, no, I'm not doing that. Because if you look at Trish, also, she didn't dress like as provocatively as the other women did, but she was treated like she dressed much worse. Like the only real segment where she does strip down by a man is like Vince screaming at her, strip down. She stripped down to her underwear, and then Vince makes her bark like a dog. That's the other thing. She barked like a dog in her underwear.
Would you like to know what happened? I will tell you why. Is Trish looked more like Sable than Lita and most of the other women in the women's division.
Yeah. Well, it's
Vince
Vince's type, right? Blonde
Yeah,
and yeah.
Vince likes a blonde, busty lady,
Oh
but like
yes.
the kind of one that'd be like, missionary? I don't think so, Vincent. Only doggy. Like,
Oh, no eyes.
yeah, no, yeah. If we make eye contact, then your mummy will know we're making squishy, squishy. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like that sort of stuff is part of it. It was so clearly Vince McMahon playing out a repressed sexual fantasy on fucking Monday Night TV. Like, yeah, no wonder he got a facelift and was insane. In the 90s for a bit, Vince McMahon just was like, hey, I want to cheat on my wife and I don't even want to hide it. Also, I thought Dylan was frozen. He was just being the most still I've ever seen anyone be in my entire life.
No, because I was just thinking about like this is also a kind of a flip where um Sunny and Sable, both of the previous like featured women on the show, used their sexuality to their advantage. Sunny used it to, get better tag teams, to win the title, to get like in storyline make more money. Sable, the whole reason that her character essentially was driven by the fact that Mark Merrow wanted to cover her up. So she's like, no, I'm going to show off my body. I am a grown up. This is my right. Trish Stratus's character is just like, I will fucking suck shit off the ground. Like, it's just a complete flip of how they present women, where it's like, yes, there's sexuality in both those two previous characters, but they're in control of it, versus Vince McMahon, like, show your tits, and her weeping saying yes. Like, that's the real problem, is how they show that.
It's so weird. It's also weird, like because you're right. I just jumped ahead again on the research. It is insane how
It's
quickly
also
the
like a
words
woman being like, please don't make me take my clothes off, and every man in the crowd being like, yeah, let's see where the milk comes
yeah,
from. Ba,
yeah.
ba, ba,
It's
ba,
like
ba.
yeah. Show me where the babies would be.
And then exactly, like Pritchard talks about it, like if they did a fucking run. If you want to turn Stone Cold Steve Austin heel, you really want to do it. Just have him do a run in and save Trish Stratus from being embarrassed.
Absolutely. But
The
here's the other
place
thing.
would have fucking like they would have torn the
Yeah.
arena down and killed him with the seats.
Yeah, the entire crowd would have started just making their own glass breaking noises and just started heading to the ring. Like, good God Almighty, they're all stone cold. They're all stone cold.
Yeah,
Like,
whereas it's presented like actually it was a satire on how portrayed.
but
Like no, it was scumbags
this is actually
who want
very
to see some
interesting.
juggos.
So I'm going to bring up a point that Dylan and I were talking about off mic about we have about something that happened and we were discussing a friend and how a friend has learned to be an adult but isn't necessarily an adult. Like it's one of those things where it's like in the way that a drag queen is doing an exaggerated impression of a very glamorous female performer, some people are doing an impression of what they think they're supposed to be. And the WWE is the best example of always doing an impression of a corporate business without ever being able to be that. You know what I mean? Like they're always like, well, we weren't doing a show that portrayed women as property and treated them like toilets. We were doing a satirical satire of
That
the
is the
gender
funniest thing is when
loops.
someone fucks up because they just make a joke where they're punching down and they love that. They always just say satire. Yeah, you understand satire, and I love satire, and I know what satire means, and I've looked it up, and it's not just a word I heard. Satire.
I will never forget when I was at the Kitchener Yuck Yucks and a
Ooh.
comedian said, just let them know in my intro, I'm a satirist.
That's sick. That was me.
Comedian was Richard Lett, is who that was, I believe.
Ooh, this guy's a fucking satirist, so you know it's not going to be funny. Anyway,
Yeah.
if you don't laugh, it's because he's a fucking loser, bro. Anyway, this is when she becomes 2001. She becomes she becomes a pro wrestler. Isn't that fun? Because she has a face turn as part of the invasion.
Yeah, she has a face turn part of the invasion, and I have to tell you, Trish Stratus comes out of the invasion the best I've ever seen a wrestler. Like literally, it's sort of like she's not really in the mix of that whole thing, and then she's just the women's champion for 2 years. Go ahead. There's no women's division in WCW, and also so she just sort of can hang out, and everyone can forget about that time Vince McMahon just was like, "Eat my piss."
No, Tori Wilson and Stacy Keibler come in the company, who are people.
Oh my God! Of course they do.
They're new blonde girls. Then the fucking next shipment of women come in, and then they're like, "Well, what are we gonna do with Trish?"
Shipment of women.
But like legit.
Yeah.
Taken happens. The next shipment of women come in, and fucking Vince
Yeah.
has fresh meat to be like, and then okay, new storyline. I fucking lick you head to toe on TV. That's the storyline. But
Yeah.
it's really my tongue, and I get to use it. And then they're like, what do we do with Trish's character? And she's like, well, wouldn't it get some? I guarantee some version of this. She wanted to wrestle, obviously, so she's like, some version of this happened where she's like, well, it would get a lot of heat off of us if there was a part of the show where women didn't just like try and dildo themselves, and then they were like, good idea, and then her and Lita ended up having a feud. And this is the thing about the women's division back then. There's no division. It's just Trish Stratus, Lita, and then other women who are like
Yeah.
buzzed in and out. And they still did. Like, people act like it's fucking now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I got news for you. The women's division up until 2013 was the champion, and around SummerSlam, they'd be like, wait, you still work here? We better get you an opponent. And then they'd hire a fat woman. And then the fat woman and the thin woman would have a fight. That was the women's
always
division.
show Trish and Lita, but they never show, like, Molly Holly's character was like, she can't stop eating cheeseburgers. This disgusting bitch is 142 pounds.
Yeah, this nice, very, very religious woman, we are mocking her. Mocking her.
Yeah. We had to buy 6 coffins and just fucking... because she's 142 disgusting, ugly loser pounds.
That's right. I hope you know that I just took a shit and I named it Molly Holly. And she's like,
but like, how many characters? And we haven't done this research, but anyone let us know on Twitter. How many in Trish Stratus's run where she was like a wrestler? I mean, I could do quotes. She was a wrestler, but
those air
how
quotes,
many of those?
They don't help you, bud.
How many of those? How many women? Did Trish Stratus face where their character was strictly either A, I like women should cover up, or B, I am fat? Like, how many? And she was like the good guy, being like, you know what, you are fat, and I do yoga.
I'll give you a C. Obsessed with Trish Stratus, because I feel like there was more than just Mickey James that they did that with.
Mickey James was the first one. And that Mickey James feud was, like, clearly her best feud. Because people talk about the leadership. But Lita, there was never really any, like, it was just like, they're going to feud. Why? They're the only 2 fucking women here. You know what I mean? Or Victoria.
Why do these women hate each other? I don't know. Their periods are...
But it's one of those things where it's like, you bring in a new women's wrestler, and there's no journey. They're just immediately in the title match.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Why would there be a journey? There doesn't need to be a journey.
There's no division. It's just like, fucking, hey, Victoria showed up. I guess she's the challenger. Why? She's the other woman we allow on television. But yeah, like, once again, watch it. Look at any of the old like, they had to fulfill your fantasy match. They had Braun Panties matches on PlayStation 2. I would love I wish they had online.
Absolutely,
like,
by the way.
And I would Sorry, go for it.
What I liked about the wrestling video games is also they really try and hide it, because the amount of if those wrestling video games with how intense you can make the player creator to just bully your friends, I would hate to see what some people have created now with what you can create with your player. Because I remember that PlayStation game, and we mocked some people. We mocked them with the lever. Oh my god. Oh, so much.
Yeah, but like, you can play Braun Panties matches in the game, and I would.
I know you
have
can.
Statistics
I literally
how many people played Braun Panties matches, and who the person in the world was the most what was the man who played Braun Panties matches the most? Where it's like, this guy essentially uses this game just to play Braun Panties matches.
I remember doing a Braun Panties match against my character Cool John versus Skinny Hitler. We made Skinny Hitler in our game, and we did a Braun Panties match, and you had to beat Skinny Hitler. The one thing is we made Skinny Hitler very good at Braun Panties messages. Like, all of his movesets were very much geared towards like using ropes. So you're always, it's great, very fun.
That's good. I mean, yeah, the fact that you made a character named Hitler good at the game is very surprising, John.
Only at Braun Panties matches, and then you just would get a chair and beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, okay, buddy.
Don't fucking mock how I used
to... match
again. Hey, don't mock how I passed time in 2005. No. I was grieving over the Iraq War, Dylan. That's how I grieved.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Here's what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with more about Trish Stratus. We're back from the break.
Oh, break me off a bit of that Kit Kat bar. Something
2000,
yelled.
yeah, 2003 has come upon us, John. What is happening? Is the WWE in a long-term slow decline? Yes, it is.
Certainly is. Is this the beginning of let's hire Gail Kim to let her know that we do not like her, we do not respect her,
Yep.
we don't want her to wrestle.
But this is when they do have basically functionally two women's divisions where it's like one of them is just valets and then the other one is,
Trish
fucking there's
Stratus,
four wrestlers
Lita,
now. Molly
Gail
Holly, Gail
Kim, and
Kim.
Molly Holly. Yeah, I couldn't remember
Yep.
Molly Holly. I always forget about Molly Holly. Molly Holly, I think, is too nice for the wrestling business. Like she's just like she's a level of naive and sweet where I'm like, this poor woman.
Wonderful. Yeah, well I mean, yeah, but she's also like clearly a wrestler. Like, like she's actually a wrestler. She's not gonna they're never gonna book her in a match where it's like Molly Holly drinks a bunch of fucking old test cum. The winner
Yeah.
gets to drink tests cum. That's
Yeah,
what
Molly
they're fighting so hard for, not the loser.
Molly Holly was told she was doing a bra and panties match. She just beat the shit out of downtown Bruno and nursed him back to health. What do you mean? She beat the shit out of him, and then as she was attacking him, she had wrapped bandages on her hands so she'd hit him and bandage the wound at the same time. And now she just made him a bunch of blueberry pancakes.
But this is when Trish Stratus goes into the love triangle angle with Chris Jericho and Christian.
The least convincing angle of all time. I have never seen
Yeah.
three people just being like, the sex we have is very long.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
every
Like,
hug,
there's
they're
no-
as far
Yeah,
away
yeah,
from each other as
exactly.
possible. They're like,
There is so much more passion between Dylan and I than there ever was. Like Chris Jericho, like it was the weirdest feud. No one talks about it either because it was hyped at the time where it was like Chris Jericho's best friend Christian, and everyone was like, they are not best friends. We knew they were not best friends. Stop acting like they're best friends. They're not best friends.
well, it was the first in a long line of let's fucking just put Christian and Chris Jericho somewhere and hope they come up with something because we don't really have anything for them. And they did, and they made like a year-long angle that once both of them get out of it, it's like, all right, well, I guess we're all like, I think Christian, after he gets out of this, is the IC champion, and then he leaves for TNA.
I was literally about to say, I assume at the end of this year-long feud, they looked at each other and went, "Wow, who knew we would feud for that long over the Intercontinental title?" Like it's, you know what I mean? Like it's exactly what it is. It was also I think it was my favorite era in wrestling where long mullets had finally been replaced by frosted tips. Do you know what I mean? Like the amount of frosted tips in wrestling at this time is wild. Like you got Jericho. I think Christian and Jericho were literally, it was the fight of the frosted tips. It was the frosted tips
This was
Rocket.
still long hair Jericho.
No, it was. I don't think it was long hair.
No,
because
he came back with the frosted tips. That was when he was. That was when he came back as the code breaker. Chris Jericho was frosted tips Jericho.
Oh, and Y2J Save Us, was that frosted? Yes, you're right. Because this was Chris Jericho where he had his logo was his body with the arms stretched open thing.
Yeah, this
that
is
he had
very
that
much.
He had that on his trunks. Yeah, this is like right before. This is the highlight reel Chris Jericho.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
This is like, I guess he's a babyface. Also, who cares?
The worst reactions to anything Chris Jericho. This is the for the Patreon listeners, you get this joke, which is this is someone debuts on the highlight reel, and this is Chris Jericho's reaction every time. Every time.
Every single time.
That happened when Ricky the Drag. There was someone like Marty Jannetty coming out on the highlight reel, like a fucking cruise ship magician. Wow.
What? But he becomes.
I can't believe it.
But they had this year-long feud, which, admittedly, I'm not watching wrestling at this time, but I remember the wrestling nerd show I would listen to from time to time. Loved this feud. And basically we're like,
oh, this is an Uncle Dave festival These are vaguely charismatic white men doing flips. Uncle Dave, time to
Chris Jericho's
masturbate.
not, or sorry,
Uncle Dave.
Christian's not doing flips. I love Christian. I think he's better than Edge. I always really have.
Yeah, of
And
course. He's the Owen Hart of that situation, and he nails it.
yeah, but anyway, then you get the weird thing where the Diva Search starts, so they kind of have to they promote the Diva Search so much more that they promote the women's title that Trish Stratus attacks Christy Hemme and spray paints slut on her back. Fucking right.
That's cool. That's fucking cool.
That's cool, and it's that's bad.
Is it?
Women is
I've been
bad,
watching.
John. Stamp it.
Okay, yeah, yep. I've been watching wrestling long enough that I have to agree with you.
I like their boobs, but it's bad when they show them, but it's good when I get to see them. I am a wrestling fan.
Yeah, welcome to wrestling. You don't even know what we think is okay.
And this is how fast it happens. This is why I was shocked you thought a two-parter was possible here. She retires within 2 years because
What are you
Trish
talking
Stratus-
about?
Yeah, of course she retires.
Is that
And-
true?
Yeah, the Mickey James feud happens in 2005. She retires in 2006
She does, yeah.
because she's a
And then-
female wrestler, which is to say that because wrestling isn't set up for them to succeed. It'll be interesting to see how this generation of women's wrestlers does things because the other previous generations got out of wrestling at such a healthy age because there was no upward mobility that it allowed them to have a better life.
Mae Young got out at exactly the right time.
Mae Young and Moolah are the obvious exceptions, but like everyone gets out at like a smart time now, or sorry, previous to like a decade ago. But now it'll be interesting. Like, is Charlotte Flair just going to be in the ring at 60, being like? I guess that's a bad example because of course she is.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
I mean,
that
her last
poor
name,
woman.
yes, Flair.
Yeah, that poor woman. Yeah.
With the semi-animated corpse of all Rick can do now, he refused to have the plug pulled. All he can do is grab and wink. That's how we wanted it.
We want him to woo. Instead, he just keeps pissing in the ring.
Which is good. He wants his payoff.
Yeah. He just keeps yelling, "Where's Arn? Where's Arn?"
But Stratus, of course, gets sidelined after a herniated disc, and she just gets injured, and she's like, "Fuck this."
I know, it's pretty great. I do have to say, Trish Stratus is exactly the episode I wanted to do right now. I'm really sad in my soul, and it's like Trish Stratus is like, "Wait, what's more for me?" And they're like, "Oh, well, we'll just do all the angles we've already done again." With different people and wear weirder. And then she's like, I think I'm going to go open a yoga studio and appear just enough at Comedy Bar that comedians will talk about meeting me. And one time, one comedian will talk about how Trish was really nice to them and he thought that they could maybe have sex. And I'm now going to write that name in the private chat and watch Joel's face.
That's any comedian.
Yeah, but
any
check
comedian.
Check out.
And men,
check out who it was. Check out who it was.
A woman is just nice to them, like, "Oh, hey, how are you?" Like, nah, she wants to fucking suck me off.
Check out who it was, though. I want you to look who it was.
I mean, I don't care.
I want you to. I want you to right now.
I want you to. I will not be surprised. Yeah, of course. Is what it is. Anyway, I'm not surprised. The first gigs I ever did, a woman was like, "Hey, where's the bathroom?" And I was like, "Oh, it's right there." And then the other comedian on the show was like, "You know, you could fuck that chick, right?" And I'm like,
"Oh,
yeah, I guess I could follow her and then like just be outside the bathroom."
Yeah. I was wondering if I could go in there and smell whatever you left.
Hey, I noticed you asked me a question, and that means sex fuck, please. Anyway, Mickey James and Trish Stratus, this is another angle where they're featured on the show. And I guess it doesn't bear repeating, but this is the last like real feature that Trish Stratus gets on the show pre-retirement, and it is because obviously the entire angle, which you can't do in front of wrestling fans, is like this woman's fucking nuts and she thinks she's in love with this other woman, but all wrestling fans are like, these hoors are gonna kiss.
These fucking sluts are gonna fucking kiss. You know what that means? I'm gonna get to
tit rub match. Titty
Hey.
rub.
I really hope when the match is over, they just embrace lovingly.
This match is called Who Gets to Keep Their Toilet Seat, and
Exactly.
Real match is a 50-50 draw.
This match gets 5 stars because I know when they went to the back, they removed their trunks, and it looked like peeling 2 halves of a grilled cheese apart.
Did you draw that one up beforehand, or is that just you just had that one in
That's
the
right off the
chamber?
top. That was right off the top of the old noggin, my friend. I got news for you. That was
Truly despicable.
no, it was the individual I'm picturing who would go to the ring to say something like that. They have you ever seen someone who looks wet even when they're dry?
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy. The guy, that guy,
Mm.
and he owns it. You know what I mean? Like the kind of guy that's like, I wouldn't say I am an incel, but why do you think that there's something wrong with being an incel?
So this is what they have after the fucking Mickey James angle is she wants to bang Carlito. That's pretty much the because they're like, we need
yeah.
Carlito to be featured prominently on the show. How about he wants to fuck?
I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it. Dylan, do you see anything wrong with that in any way?
Imagine if next week it was like, all right, well, we need to get Austin Theory over. How about this? Sasha Banks, your new character is you want to suck this little guy off.
Yeah. Hey, Sasha Banks, how you doing? I just want to let you know your character this month is going to be we just actually stab you to death. Wait, what? yeah. Vince
I
is
mean, you're
trying
going
to.
a different way than the sexuality.
No, but that's the
John,
thing that
what's
you're.
sexy? I don't know. Murdering a woman?
No, but Dylan, you're forgetting the other part of the women's division up until maybe WrestleMania 33 was also you got to make sure that they're hurt. They're hurt and disrespected. Like you have.
So
It's
that is
not.
also yes.
It's
There's definitely earlier on. There's a Lita and Trish Stratus versus Christian and Jericho match called the Battle of the Sexes, and they definitely lose that.
of course. Yeah.
They get beaten up by men,
Yeah. You
and
have
of
any
course
questions?
they want to be like, oh, really lay it in, and Jericho's like, okay. Do you know that there will be the rise of a God King in 12 years? And Trish is like, what? And he's like, nothing. That Trish Stratus and Jericho could reform a team as the unvaccinated people, and it would be for the two reasons you don't. Where Trish Stratus is like, I do yoga a lot. I'm not putting that poison in my body. And Chris Jericho is like, that's a serum meant for mind control. And then half the crowd
Actually,
loves them. Or I guess not half, but like 30% of the crowd's fucking so pumped to see them.
do they kiss? Do you think that they kiss? If they stand in
Do
the
they
ring,
kiss? No, they kiss the crowd to try and give them COVID.
Yeah, you're right. I 100% agree with everything you're saying.
Yeah. The their thing, like, you know how Paul Bearer obviously would put the guy in the body bag after the Undertaker beat them in the early 90s. Their post-jobber match thing would be they put a needle in the jobber and remove blood so that they're taking the vaccine out of his body.
Yeah. They would also just put on their bodies what they think is an ivermectin, which for Chris Jericho is a
Yes.
solution of Monster
Shake it out.
Energy drink and his own sweat that he spritzes back on him. And for Trish Stratus, it's just a note that says you'll be home soon and away from these scary men.
Exactly, yes. What it is they grind up Fozzy CDs and he fucking shoves it in their mouth.
Let me tell you something.
He believes that's the real vaccine.
Before we get to best worst of Trish Stratus, my best.
No. There's much to discuss still.
What?
Dude, you have like there's fucking 14 years. No, now it's going on 15 years of like her coming back once a year to lose to the women's champion. Dude, she has a SummerSlam match against Charlotte Flair in 2019.
Did she? I don't remember that at all.
Neither did I until I clicked on it, and I was like, oh, fuck. And also, Trish Stratus looks younger than Charlotte Flair somehow because she does yoga and Charlotte Flair does plastic surgery.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, Charlotte Flair. Do you understand that Charlotte Flair must be so like she must love just being able to just get on a plane and leave a city every week, as opposed to her childhood, which would be, I wish we could leave, but instead we just have to stay here until Dad wakes up.
You know, the interesting thing is there's a comedian in Canada named Dave Burke who he was on a flight with all the wrestlers after one of their shows in Halifax, which is very funny. Dave Burke's a super dork. So what did Dave Burke do? Did Dave Burke notice all the wrestlers? He just figured out they were wrestlers because they were all jacked. What he did
I want to know what he figured out.
He walked up to the finance minister of Canada and acted like So he was like, there's this moment where I was walking frantically to say hi to the finance minister because I had some. Dave Burke's the kind of guy. He's, by the way, he's our age. He writes letters, not emails, letters to Paul asking them about specific budget things. He's very concerned about the budget,
I like
and
this guy a lot. This
he
guy's got it.
blew past Roman Reigns to be like, why did you buy those doorknobs? They were too expensive in the buildings. And the guy's like, what? And he's like, well, we have we have an all-purpose contract. So we buy their most expensive doorknobs, and we like, which obviously, and we buy, and they give us breaks on the other things. He's like, well, okay, well that makes sense. But anyway, he was listening over, and Charlotte Flair was just complaining about people like, why is everyone comparing me to my dad? I mean, I'm just trying to be me. And it's like, you are, Charlotte. And honestly, I think Charlotte Flair's great. Anyway, that story was weird and unnecessary.
I want you to know that was a great story, and I want you to know the reason why Charlotte Flair is going to live for a very long time is she's been gifted with enough naivete to get through her life that she's just like, I don't understand why people would compare me to my dad. And it's like, well, you're doing the thing that your dad claimed to be, and a lot of people believe was the best dad in the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're comparing you. And the fact that she's just not aware of that is, you're like, oh, you're fine. Because she then is like,
thank God. I mean,
that makes me so happy for her, because it's like everyone else would be like, I'm crushed by the comparison. And she's just like, she's got a bit of that Michael Jordan thing, which is Michael Jordan. Like, everyone's like, well, what if I miss the basket? And he's like, but what if you don't? You know what I mean? Like, he's the other side of it. Like, where he's like, I don't know. Just don't miss the basket. I don't miss baskets.
Well, also, Charlotte Flair, her whole gimmick is, I'm Ric Flair's daughter. Like, and she's dope. And I've said this a million times, but I've always thought her gimmick should be exactly Ric Flair, which is,
the gimmick is this is the best idea.
She fucks a guy, and then they're like, you didn't call me back, and she's like, I don't call back fucking losers. And like,
yeah.
Impact Wrestling did a entire show that was just like a territory thing, like making fun of the territories. And there was a women's stable called the Rough Riders where they were just fake the Horsemen, and they all talked about fucking dudes and never calling them back. And it's like, that should be.
I've never understood why no one has done that, and it would do so fucking well. It's the funniest thing too.
Because that's also like that's a thing that happens all the time. Is that men aren't set up when a woman just wants to bang and doesn't want to call them back. Men want to be the guy who's like, yeah, she's in my fucking silk. She fucking can't get enough. But it's like, women do that all the time too, and men can't handle when that happens because they're not. No one sits a man down and is like, a woman's gonna fucking fuck you, just never want to see you again. They're always like, oh, when they fuck you, they want a baby now. Like, so when that happens, men aren't prepared mentally.
I bet you when she calls, all she's gonna do is suck on my dick.
Exactly.
And everyone's like, no, she don't want to call you. Like, but my dick.
She was just sad for a day, man. No, man. Yeah. She wants a baby. I want a baby now. Do I want a baby? I quit my job and I'm following her. Anyway, that's John, not me.
That is me, yes.
But they'll bring her back and they'll be like, oh shit.
I want you to know this right now from the bottom of my heart. I don't remember her ever coming back.
Dude, she came back so much. Anyway,
I agree with you.
I want to talk about this too. When she retires, which they shouldn't.
Go ahead.
Ends her final match and retires as women's champion, which is basically like, we're retiring this division.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Enough of the yucky time.
It's crazy that they're like, and this is an official announcement that the entire women's division is just lay cool now.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, how are you on a TV show? How is your TV show 3 hours long every week? And most of the tag teams in that era are just Jericho or Lay Cool. Just fucking pick half their name and fucking. Why are you waking me up from my long 18-hour nap for this? Like, they say Vince McMahon works around the clock, and it's like, well, then why is everything so fucking
badly done? Yeah, this doesn't seem like you guys put any thought into this. And it's like, oh, we didn't.
How about this character? They wear trunks and I guess they play fight? That's just wrestling. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just trying to stare out a window here. Otherwise, my wife makes eye contact and then she thinks she has to talk to me.
Yeah, what if, okay, here's the plan. What if Brock Lesnar is managed by Paul Heyman, but so is Roman Reigns, and we just do that for 3 years? Okay, yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
But then they do the thing where it's like, oh man, and then that same show I was telling you about that Love the Christian Jericho Trish angle,
Go on.
the host. I mean, I'm sure if you're listening to this, you've probably heard the show because they were one of the first ones to do like Smart Mark Radio essentially, but it's called Live Audio Wrestling, and Dan Loveransky, who is a great broadcaster and a nice man, had all these interviews with the Victoria, and she'd be like, I like it when you're the motorcycle character and you jiggle your butt. And she was like, yeah, a lot of people talk about that with me. Can I leave now? And he's like, no, I made your phone so you can't hang up on me. Let's talk about the jiggle.
Yeah, actually, you only can leave when I'm done sniffing.
Since you're talking into your phone and I'm hearing it on mine, I'm gonna hard lick my receiver here, so it's like I'm tasting your mouth. But anyway,
Yeah. I was wondering if I could come over to your house and eat your phone. Is that possible?
Anyway, it's so funny that in the grand scheme of things,
are we making fun of this guy? I don't know if I'm doing
We
just
are.
this guy. Okay. I do not stand by making fun of this man. I am sorry.
yeah, I don't stand by making fun of. Men should always ask women about their jiggly butts.
Yeah, fair point. I actually don't stand by that. Let's make fun of this fucking dork.
There you
Stop
go.
asking women about his jiggly bucks, you little fuck. You little weirdo.
There you go. You're just being a bozo.
Yeah, you know what you are? You're thoughtless. You know what I mean?
But obviously,
Just going after someone like a dad goes after them? Well, I didn't realize you got an A from idiot school.
Trish Stratus obviously loses to Charlotte Flair, but it's a good match. It's fun, but it also shows like how much. Obviously, it's been 13 years since this woman wrestled, and she's fucking diving right in with a 20+ minute match against like one of the premier women's performers to this point ever on television. But
yeah,
it's a good match and whatever. She could come back tomorrow. She still looks great, but you know, she's
Say it, Dylan.
a bitch. No, I mean, she made a
That's
good living
right.
doing yoga.
That's
and
right.
she
Dylan
lives
thinks she's
with her high
gross.
school sweetheart. She's had a lot of failed TV roles, as haven't we all, John?
Yeah, I mean, Trish Stratus and I could happily have a glass of kombucha and talk about how we both.
Oh, buddy, all three of us could sip some booch and talk about all the things we've done that didn't pan out.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Dylan has a web series. Yeah. Let me tell you what has panned out, ladies and gentlemen. This podcast somehow firing into its 7th year.
Almost 2 presidential terms, buddy.
Holy shit. The rest of the review is longer than Trump's presidency. Ladies and gentlemen.
3 years.
We did it. I gotta say this, our podcast will be on the air longer than Trump was the president, Biden was the president, or longer than I was married.
Also, she was immediately after retiring. She does a reality show called Armed and Famous for CBS, and the concept is she was one of 5 celebrities who was trained as volunteer officers with the Muncie, Indiana.
Shut the fuck up.
Department.
Shut the fuck up. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
All right, I don't want to get too political, but let's do it. Indiana's also where the Klan was. I thought it was
I thought it was Colorado.
The Klan? No,
yeah,
the Klan's Indiana.
Because Colorado, like the Klan is like.
All
you're
right,
like
who are the other people? Who are the other ones? Who are the other? I don't want to do that thing. Here are the other celebrities: Eric Estrada, LaToya Jackson, Jack Osborne, Trish Stratus, and Wee Man.
Oh my God! What a 2000s fucking schmear of people right there.
And most of it was just how to beat down people who looked like they might have weed.
Of course, yeah.
This guy has long hair. Kill him. All right.
This guy does have a Palm Pilot, but he's wearing a BlackBerry shirt. You're just going to want to shoot him with an AR-15. Dylan, I have to go.
Okay, cool. All right, what's your favorite thing about Trish Stratus?
That she was a wrestler and she got out way before it got really bad. Worst thing about Trish Stratus, literally everything that happened to her while she was wrestling.
Yeah, her life. Well, I mean, the back end of her career, if she didn't always need a male counterpart to get television time, that would have been great. But it was either she always the romance was always had to be involved for her to be a featured character. It could never just be like she's competing against someone else. That's the worst thing. And the best thing is that she transitioned out of being just a valet. Like, it's kind of unprecedented for her and Lita. Lita always had a athletic part to her character. Like, Lita was always doing moonsaults. She was always
Yeah.
so she, for her, that leap was way easier versus Trish, where it was like her character was I fuck, and then it turned into professional wrestler, which is a big accomplishment. And I'd love to. She's too like politically savvy to ever give an interview like this, but I'd love to have an interview with her where it's just like, how the fuck did you convince Bruce Pritchard that women deserved airtime beyond warming up toilet seats?
I guarantee that she like walked up to him and was like, Bruce, you know, there's a room down here where there's just like a bunch of guys who bring their guns to work. And he was like, what? Like me? Oh, all right. And
Either
like he
that,
just
Either that, or
and
she
then
just pressed play on a fucking tape recorder, and then and Bruce was like, "What's that?" And he's like, "That's every conversation that a man has had with me for the last 3 years. I want to be a wrestler, and I want to cover up." And then he's like, "Well, looks like you're a wrestler."
yeah. Well, I got to say, we will not negotiate with terrorists. Luckily, you have not declared yourself a terrorist, so we will negotiate with you.
All right, how about this? Here's your new character, Trish. Your pussy's so fucking wet because you see my big hog, and then I just fucking look at my dick.
Okay.
It's
yeah.
that plus 2 hours. It gets worse from there because then he gets to the racial stereotypes he likes, and he goes,
Yeah.
Which I don't get why I can't say.
he says that a lot.
Yeah. What I want you to do is I want you to schedule my dentist appointment for 2:30. Now, let me explain to you why that's funny.
And then Shane coming in and be like, "Here's what Daddy doesn't get about how handsome I am."
Yeah. Okay. First off, you have to compare. You have to hot or not between me and Shane and Stephanie.
Fuck, marry, kill, me, Shane, or Stephanie.
Yeah. Fuck, marry, kill me, Linda. Shane. I'll go first. Linda's dead. I fuck Shane.
Oh wait, I didn't understand the game.
I don't know how this game works. I kill myself. I watch Shane and Linda have sex from heaven. That is my heaven. I want my bloodline to be carried forward like it's in Game of Thrones.
Oh, can I ask a favor? Can we do Jeff Hardy? I mean, we'll do multiple versions of it, I'm sure, but Jeff Hardy next week?
Yeah, which Jeff Hardy are we doing next week?
We're doing all of them. Like, it'll be a multi-part thing on Jeff Hardy. I would like to pose this. I would like to pose that it's like we do Jeff Hardy part 1, then we do someone else, and then we do Jeff Hardy part 2.
I love it. I love it. But here's my question. And can we make a poll, or can listeners let us know? Can we do Jeff Hardy the way Jeff Hardy wants to be presented? That's right. Out of order.
Ooh, using our imagination.
So literally, like, part 1 of Jeff Hardy could be modern Jeff Hardy, like going from WrestleMania surprise debut to leaving because of that weird rehab email. Just that. And we do Jeff Hardy in weird segments.
Sure.
Just,
I mean, it makes it a lot harder for Hobson, which I like.
I like that too. And it's also what Jeff Hardy would have wanted.
That's very funny. Just because I thought of, which we didn't get to, Jeff Hardy and Trish Stratus have a romance angle, and if you made fun of Christian and Jericho's angle with Trish Stratus, where they're clearly just 3 people that are friends and are uncomfortable with it, Jeff Hardy is like clearly been told by the director, just imagine she's a bunch of fucking sick drugs that you want to snort, and he's like, I can't. You know what Jeff Hardy is, and no one will get this, but Jeff Hardy is literally Rue from Euphoria, where it's like, I'm not sexual. Here's my idea of sexual: snorting. I love snorting. That's how most people. He's just a completely asexual man who loves drugs.
Dylan, I didn't listen to you because as soon as you brought up Euphoria, I immediately cut my own
John's
dick
not
off.
a cool fucking teen like me. Anyway, I'll be down getting litty at the mall or whatever teens hang out on my phone at the post office. Teens always hang out at weird things. You want to go in the middle of this field? Anyway, one time my niece was like, yeah, I've been to a thing like a smash room. And I was like, oh, what is it? He's like, yeah, it's a field we throw printers around in. And I was like, teenagers rule. Because you can find an old printer at like a Value Village for like
Yes, you
$5,
can.
and you just smash
You
that shit in the
smash
field.
shit up.
And I was like, that's genius.
Canada, as a country to grow up in, is the best because
Yeah,
that is
there's
what your
just-
childhood is.
There's just spare land to just have lawless fun.
And there's a farmer that fucking hates your guts.
There's so much land though. He's like, I don't even grow shit on this land. This is where the teens fucking break printers.
Think the amount of old men I've heard. Well, that's where the teens go to drink. I'm leaving. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. At Wrestler Review, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Next week will be Jeff Hardy. Who knows? Maybe 2005. Just one
Just
Jeff
the
Hardy
Willow
episode.
years. Just the Willow years.
No.
Yes.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to watch Willow. Jeff Hardy's TNA run will be next.